This is the Carlinian Studio, and today I'm going to be asking the question, why is human life valuable? So, the big issue here is, what constitutes value, really? Like, what gives things value? Why is human life valuable? Alright? Now, you obviously consider your own life to be valuable because it's yours, but as far as everyone else is concerned, what is the value of your life? Now this becomes a sort of relative question. If you're in a universe without God, then humans are just animals, so you could say that human life is valuable relative to animals. Now what separates us from animals? Well, it's our intelligence and our ability to speak and reason in a higher, an abstract way, all of that kind of stuff. However, the things that give us the ability to do that, if you want to be filthy technical, hypothetically speaking that there is no God, it's just genetics, which means that in that model, the only thing that makes a human life valuable more than animal's life is just having superior genetics. So then, if it's relative to animals, then it can also be relative to other human beings, which means that if humans are more valuable than animals simply because we're more intelligent and we can talk and we can have higher reasoning and abstract thinking, then it would stand to reason that humans who are better at those things than other humans are more valuable than those other humans. So is that true? Well, I mean, you might be inclined to say that it is true until you meet somebody who can talk better and think better and abstractly reason better than you can, and suddenly the whole thing breaks down. Because relativism is all well and good as long as you can apply it to other people. We don't think that anybody is more or less valuable just because of their intelligence, on purely the basis of their IQ. Which is interesting, because the modern person doesn't know why that is. They just believe it just because they do. And there are no underpinnings supporting that idea. There's nothing to support it. It's just there in the air, and there's no foundation because they've ripped up everything that used to be the foundation of Western thought, and they've rejected all of it. And then they still want to keep the conclusions of Western thought. The conclusions of Western thought are all life is equally sacred, all human beings have a equal, dignity, and are entitled to the same rights and protections under the law as every other human. These are the conclusions of a great deal of the progression of Western thinking over the centuries. And now, in the modern era, everybody wants to keep the conclusions, and they want to rip up the foundations. They want to rip up the idea of God, and they want to rip up the idea of an absolute moral standard before whom everyone is equally beholden. Now, if you are saying there is no God, you have no way of saying that humans are equally valuable. Not just that humans are more valuable than animals, but that individual human beings are equal in value to each other. Because there's no way to measure that. What gives a human being value? Obviously everybody wants to live, but I can say a fly wants to live. I'm still going to swat it. And as far as this goes, most people don't really have an answer. Now, if you're a Christian, you believe that everyone is made in the image of God, and that everyone is valuable because they are valuable before God. This is why the preamble of the Declaration of Independence says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights," because they are equal before the Creator. Now, I tried to present this to somebody the other day, and they wanted to know what the heck it had to do with the United States. And the simple, short answer is, properly speaking, it doesn't have very much to do with the United States at all. It wasn't the United States' idea. This is a Western Christian idea. And so whenever you're dealing with issues of racism and, refugees or children or whatever you want to talk about, any human rights issue, which everyone's always up in arms about, okay, if there is no God, it's all irrelevant, okay? It doesn't matter. No one cares because it's just whatever the heck you decide. However you decide to assign value, that's the right way, and if you can get enough people to agree with you, then you're right. That's all there is to it. If there is a God, then there is an objective value in each human life. If there is no God, then I can say, well, I'm smarter than you, therefore my life is more valuable. Or I'm stronger than you, or I'm faster than you, therefore my life is more valuable. Or I can say, well, I have the correct worldview, I have the correct political agenda, I have the higher moral impetus, therefore my life is more valuable. Right? So these Antifa people out here go punch a Nazi. Listen, they hate the Nazis, but they don't know why. They have no idea why they hate the Nazis. They just do. They don't understand why what the Nazis did was evil. They have no idea. This is a group of people who have rejected the idea of God and thereby rejected the idea of any objective moral standard to speak of, and have rejected the idea of there being any intrinsic value in an individual human being's life, all right? If you don't have a God, you can't say that a human being has intrinsic value. You can say that they have value based on what they can accomplish, you can say that they have value on the resources that they can generate. You can't say that they have intrinsic value in and of themselves simply because they're a human being. And you can't say that there's any moral objective standard, because if there is no God, then it's just on the basis of your feelings. So how do you condemn the Nazis? How? How can you? On what justification could you possibly condemn the Nazis if you say there is no God? Now, if you say that there is a God, suddenly you have a justification for condemning the Nazis, obviously. But there are a whole bunch of other things that come with that. Like, for example, if we condemn the Nazis' actions, and if we oppose them politically, does that give us the right to prevent them from ever saying anything ever? Because if there's a God, then suddenly we have to treat them with the dignity due to all humans, because they're all made in the image of God, regardless of how evil they might be. And suddenly you can't just go out and riot and beat up anybody that you happen to disagree with, because they're all made in the image of God, because they're all human beings, because they're all equally valuable before God. These people are angry over something that they don't even understand. They don't even know why they're angry. They have no foundation for saying anything. They got nothing. They don't know why anything. They've decided that the Nazis are evil because they've been told that the Nazis are evil. They don't know what evil means. They don't know what the Nazis did. Half of them, I would be surprised if they could even place the rise of Hitler on a timeline. The point here is, it's all well and good to say things. We have free speech for a reason, or at least we should. But it's entirely another thing to believe something and say something without even understanding what you're saying or being able to talk about it or defend it. And that's what this really comes down to, is the reason that they have to resort to violence is because they have nothing else. There's nothing else going on there. They don't know why they believe what they believe. They know the Nazis killed some people. Do they know why that's evil? No. Could they explain it to you? Why do you think murder is wrong? They wouldn't have any answer for that. They have no idea. They couldn't even define murder in the first place, I would be willing to bet. Now, I had an argument the other day with somebody on this side of the aisle, and I was against universal healthcare. I was against the socialized healthcare system when I was arguing with about the socialized healthcare system, and he told me that I wanted people who couldn't pay to die. He told me that I wanted people to die. Oh, you must want people to die because they can't pay for it. No. No. This guy, he has no idea what he believes. The only thing he has is to accuse me of being evil. That's it. He doesn't understand why I believe what I believe, why I support what I support. He has no idea. He doesn't care. The only recourse he has is to accuse me of being evil. He can't define what evil is. He doesn't know why wanting people to die would be bad, and he's accusing me of it as this last recourse, because that's all he has. He doesn't even know why his accusing me of it should work. Because he's operating out of a paradigm that has all the conclusions of Western and Christian thought without any of the foundation. And it's crumbling. It's crumbling, and he doesn't even realize it. None of these Antifa people realize it. They have no foundation. They have no philosophical foundation for believing anything. This has been the Carl Onion Studio, and God bless.